नाही झालं ना आता.
जोशी गुड मॉर्निंग.
हा इंद्रपाल ऐकू येतंय?
ऐकू येतं ना?
नाही रे, तुला येतंय का माझं ऐकू?
हा येतो.
तुझं क्लिअर येते, तुझं क्लिअर.
हा तेच.
सर फेसबुक लाईव्ह वरती आलात. विकास ओके. फेसबुक लाईव्ह ओके. सर फेसबुक लाईव्ह वरती आलात.
आवाज जात नाही.
सर ऍड करू आता. ओके. फेसबुक लाईव्ह ओके.
हॅलो.
सर आवाड सर पण आलेत. सर ऍड करू आता.
आले सगळे. एक मिनिट तो बोलेल. हा सर आले सर.
हॅलो.
ऍड करतोय मी.
हा सर येतो आवाज.
हा येतो. माझा आवाज येतो का?
हा सर येतोय.
वा.
घाई 2 मिनिटं थांब जरा चालू आहे.
सर्वांचे म्यूट केलेत मी. व्हॉल्यूम.
हा सर.
प्लीज व्ह्युअर्सने आपले माईक म्यूट करावे. व्ह्युअर्सना विनंती की त्यांनी आपले व्हॉइस म्यूट करावे. प्लीज व्ह्युअर्सने आपले माईक म्यूट करावे. व्ह्युअर्सना विनंती की त्यांनी आपले व्हॉइस म्यूट करावे. कुठून टाकला होता रे डिस्प्ले?
तुम्हाला चेंज करायचं का?
हां कुठून टाकला?
चल यावाला याच्यावर जा. यावाला हा. सेटिंग सेटिंग सेटिंग.
पाटील सर तुमचा व्हॉइस म्यूट आहे. इंद्रपाल पाटील सर.
वॉइस येतो?
तो आता येतोय.
हा
येतोय येतोय सर. येतोय.
आवाज येतोय इंद्रपाल, आवाज येतोय.
येतोय ना?
येस सर.
ओके गुड मॉर्निंग.
2 मिनिटं जरा मला आपण थोडा 2 मिनिटं ठेवू द्या. सर चालू करा. कदम सर.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर.
मॉर्निंग.
कदम साहेब आवाज येत नाही.
कदम साहेब आवाज येत नाही तुमचा.
व्हॉल्यूम वाढवा. हळू येतोय आवाज.
अध्यक्षांचा आवाज येत नाहीये.
व्हॉल्यूम बटन वाढवा.
आपले माईक म्यूट करावे प्लीज.
येतो का रे?
बारीक येतोय सर.
बारीक येतोय.
संदीप माझा येतोय?
तुमचा बरोबर.
आता येतोय? थांब एक मिनिट.
संदीप आता
हो येतोय, फक्त जवळ घ्या तुम्ही, फोन बारीक आहे, जवळ घ्या तुमचा मोबाईल किंवा.
बर आता येत नाही अजून?
हो हो आता येतोय.
क्लिअर येतोय?
हो पण व्हिडिओ नाहीये.
हा व्हिडिओ ऑन करतो मी
हा व्हिडिओ ऑन. ओके
थांबा. आता येतोय?
हो सर येतोय.
क्लिअर आहे ना आवाज?
होय.
हो हो हो. येस स्टार्ट सर.
सुरू करायचं? ओके.
हो चालेल सर.
नमस्कार.
नमस्कार.
ठाणे जिल्हा वकील संघटनेने आयोजित केलेल्या व्याख्यानमालेतलं आजचं 10वं व्याख्यान. मी सर्वांचं स्वागत करतो. आज व्याख्यान देण्याकरता संघटनेने ॲडव्होकेट भास्करराव आव्हाड सरांना विनंती केली होती. सरांनी आपली विनंती मान्य करून आजची वेळ दिलेली आहे, त्याबद्दल मी त्यांचा आभार मानतो व त्यांचं स्वागतही करतो. आजचा लेक्चरचा विषय आहे लॉ ऑफ पार्टिशन अँड हिंदू सक्सेशन. आपण सगळे इच्छुक आहात हे लेक्चर ऐकण्याकरता. संघटनेचे उपाध्यक्ष ॲडव्होकेट इंद्रपाल पाटील सरांचा परिचय करून देतील. तसं म्हटलं तर सरांना परिचय करून देण्याची काहीच गरज नाही, अख्खं महाराष्ट्र सरांना चांगलं ओळखतं. तरी पण मी इंद्रपाल पाटीलांना विनंती करतो, ॲडव्होकेट इंद्रपाल पाटील ना आपल्या उपाध्यक्षांना, की थोडक्यात सरांचा एक परिचय करून द्यावा. धन्यवाद.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Thane District Court Bar Association, I, Indrapal Patil, Vice President, extend warm welcome to Honorable guest Sri Bhaskar Rao E. Awad Sir, Senior Lawyer from Pune. I also welcome to participants who joined online lectures today. This will be my privilege to introduce to Honorable Sri Bhaskar Rao Awad Sir. He born on 7 September 1943. He passed BCom examination with honors in 1966 from BM College of Commerce, Pune. He passed LLB examination in 1968 from Pune University, secured first rank at first LLB. He passed LLB examination in the year 1971 from Pune University, securing first rank. He has been teaching law since 1968 for 30 years. He had been honorary lecturer at various law colleges. He has delivered the lecture in the Bar Council, lectures for judicial lawyers and solicitors. He delivered lectures to the government officer at Yashwantrao Chavan Academy. He has delivered the lecture to revenue officers. He has delivered the lectures to judicial officers at Uttan Judicial Academy and elsewhere. Since last 22 years, he has been delivering the lecture to lawyers in various courts all over the Maharashtra. He has been practicing as a lawyer since 1968, having a standing of 52 years. He has conducted the matter in Supreme Court, High Court, District Court. He has conducted the large number of suits and appeals. He has practiced on civil, criminal, cooperative and revenue side with proficiency. He has conducted the proceeding before the commission of the inquiry. He has conducted the proceeding before the arbitrators. There are various publications written by Honorable Sri Awad Sir. He has written book on Vedic jurisprudence. He has written book on various laws for students and lawyers, that is legal history, law of torts, Bombay Tenancy and Agriculture Land Act, etc. He is a co-editor of 36 volumes of Maharashtra Local Acts. He has written collection of poems including Marudyan, Udyan Vishwa. He has written 3 travelogues, क्षितिजा पार, कोलंबसचा मागोवा, शोध कांगारूचा. He has participated in very large number of conferences at national, international level and has submitted the papers at such a conferences. Some of the papers, that is Ancient Jurisprudence, USA, Peace and Violence, Geneva, Human Rights, Paris, Intellectual Property, Court of Spain, Environment, Goa, Environment and Law, Pune University, Judicial Reforms.
तर आवाज
Paper and periodicals in English and Marathi. He has given many interviews, appearances on television and radio. He has held certain posts in several institutions. During the period of 1989 to 1980, he was the chairman of the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. In the year 1985 to 1997, he was the member of Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. In the year 1995 to 1996, he was the vice chairman of the Medical Education Advisory Committee of Government. He also member of Management Council, Maharashtra University of Health Science in the year 1998 to 2001. He was also member of Telephone Advisory Committee, Pune in the year 1987 to 1989. He was also member of Telephone Advisory Committee, Maharashtra in the year 1992 to 1995. He was the senator of University of Pune. He was member of BUTR Shivaji University, Kolhapur. He was a member of Postgraduate Teachers Selection Committee, University of Pune. He was member of Statute and Ordinance Committee of MUHS from the year 1998 to 2008. He was the founder trustee of Maharashtra Academy, Engineering and Educational Research, Pune. In the year 2006 to 2007, he was the vice president of Maharashtra Sahitya Parishad. He was trustee of the Maharashtra Sahitya Parishad from year 2007 to 2016. He was president of Maharashtra Sahitya Parishad Board of Trustee from the year of 2007 to 2016. He was vice chairman of Lakshmi Kripa Cooperative Bank. He was member of governing council, Talegaon General Hospital.
पाटील सर
He
शॉर्ट
is also member of managing Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan from 2010 to 2021.
पाटील सर
was
शॉर्ट
pres-
सरांची रिक्वेस्ट आली आहे please.
President of Maharashtra Academy Engineering and Educational Research Center. He was president of 15 Rashtriya Bandhuta Sammelan 2014. He is a legal advisor of Life Insurance Corporation of India, United Insurance Company, Pune ZP, SSCE Board, Maharashtra and Sangli Bank, etc. He has many times visited foreign countries, that is UK, USA, Canada, France, Germany, Switzerland, Netherlands, Austria, Italy, South Africa, Australia, Thailand, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Nepal. Several social prestigious honors has been received and awarded to Honorable Award Sir. That is the prestigious Bandhutva Puraskar 95, Dr. Ambedkar Puraskar, Mumbai 2001, Vaibhav Puraskar, Fulton 2001, Vocational Excellent Award 2001 by Notary. The prestigious Guru Mahatma Puraskar 2002. Jinda Dil Puraskar 2005. Lion Professional Excellent Award 2005. प्रज्ञावंत पुरस्कार 2006 by राष्ट्रीय सामाजिक परिषद. शिक्षण भूषण पुरस्कार 2008 by मराठा विद्या प्रसारक मंडल अहमदनगर. समाज भूषण पुरस्कार 2010 पुणे. जीवन गौरव पुरस्कार 2012. जीवन गौरव पुरस्कार सातारा 2012. समाज भूषण पुरस्कार नाशिक 2013. डॉक्टर रंजना फडके स्मृती पुरस्कार 2013. अहिंसा पुरस्कार शैक्षणिक व विधी क्षेत्र 2014 बाय पिंपरी चिंचवड जैन महासंघ. दिलीप फाउंडेशन बार्शी स्टेट लेवल विधी सेवा पुरस्कार 2014. श्री समाज स्वामी समर्थ पुरस्कार 2018 and Kasba Ganpati Trust Puraskar 2018. With this long list of achievements and Puraskar, I humbly request to Honorable Sri Award Sir to guide us on the topic of law of partitions. Thank you very much.
Award sir, please welcome.
Hello. May I start?
Yes sir, please.
Yes. First, let me congratulate the President and all the members of the committee of Thane District Court Bar Association. And today let us proceed with the subject assigned to me, that is law of partition with reference to Hindu Succession Act 1956. Now let's first see partition in general. Partition is division. And here we are considering partition of various properties. Partition may be of immovable properties, partition may be of movable properties, partition may be of tangible properties, partition may be of non-tangible properties. Say the tangibles wherein transaction can be there, corporeal properties, incorporeal properties, incorporeal like trademarks, copyrights. These also are subject matter of partition. The meaning of partition generally is division. I say generally because in Hindu law, we are going to find out some different meaning of partition also. So generally, when it is division, the first question to be asked is whether property is partible. That is to say, some properties cannot be partitioned. Take for instance a case, a person has purchased property under the Bombay Tenancy and Agricultural Lands Act, under section 32G, 32M certificate issue. Now his holding is impartible, or what revenue people in other rights column write, Navin Shart, or if it was a Watan land, Inam land, and it is regranted, it is impartible. Or today also, throughout India and particularly some old Maharajas, some old Maharajas or Samstaniks, they had granted sanats and certain villages to certain persons. These are not partible. So first, property must be partible property wherein partition is allowed. Hello.
अरे म्यूट करा.
Is it all right? So first we have seen that property should be partible property. In partible property, let us see that when there can be partition. Partition can be there if there are joint purchases. Say two persons purchase property together and subsequently they decide to divide the property. Now in such cases, the proposition is that when property was purchased by these two persons, at that time only the deed will mention what is the share of each. That A has 1/3 share, B has 2/3 share. Accordingly, it is only to be divided. If in the document there are no shares defined, then in that case, it will be either equally or proportionate to the consideration contributed. That is in respect of joint purchases. There can be partitions even of other properties held by a joint venture or a partnership. So if tomorrow in partnership one of the partner wants to retire, his share will have to be separated and given out. Maybe that for that some properties are to be divided, partition. Or if the partnership itself or joint venture itself is to be dissolved, then in that case, the shares of the various people will have to be ascertained and will have to be paid out. That will be another partition. Or there can be a partition, even in cases where there is a company, registered association, societies, trust, etc., private trusts. In all these cases, the properties are held together and subsequently those are to be divided, partition will take place and accordingly partition will have to be effected. And last, but the most important subject matter of partitions is partition in case of inheritance. That is to say, when a person who is the owner of the property today, if he dies, leaving behind heirs, maybe a will is left, what we call the testamentary succession, or there is no will, then in that case it is intestate succession and the property has passed to various heirs. Now these heirs want to divide the property. It is very specific thing that first question we will ask, to what religion you belong? Mohammedan? Yes. Sunni Hanafi? Yes. Then in Maharashtra and most of the parts of India, it is Sunni Hanafi law that applies. In that case, under Sunni Hanafi law, whoever are the heirs who are sharers, residuaries, etc., their shares are defined. How much widow gets, how much husband gets, how much wife gets, how much son and daughter get. These shares are defined. And now the question is how to divide it. Division will be accordingly taking place. Or if it is found that somebody is a Parsi, there is the Indian Succession Act 1925. Under that act, special rules are for Parsis and there are rules for others other than Parsis. So the husband, wife, other people, the lineal descendants, kindred, accordingly their shares are fixed. The defined shares are to be divided. That is the only question. Now in inheritance, we have left out Hindus as yet because there will be special rules for Hindus. When such type of partition is to be effected, how it is effected here, normally partitions are effected. These are normally either company, partnership, joint venture or family matters. And therefore, partition can be effected mutually. That is to say, in Hindu law, even if no writing is made, partition is valid. In Muslim law also, partition can be oral also. So partitions can be effected by mutual understanding. If there is no mutual understanding, then in that case, partitions will have to be effected by resorting to legal methods. That is to say, some suit is filed for partition. In that case, when suit is filed for partition, the court will be deciding what the shares of what people can be. That is to say, under a court decree, or there is a provision in the Maharashtra revenue laws and particularly the Land Revenue Code of 1966. There, section 85 of MLRC, it makes a provision that when co-owners, co-sharers make an application to collector for making partition or division, or when court passes a decree for partition, that decree is forwarded if there is agricultural land to the collector. And then collector will serve the notices on the party and will divide the properties. Now this division or partition can be property wise, or in each property there will be subdivisions, or what we people see, the 712 extract. त्या सातबाराच्या उतार्यावरती 5 आणि 4 पै 5 आणि 4 पै आमची ओल्ड सिस्टीम जी आहे 1/3 नाही म्हणत तलाठीकडे. मग हा जो 1/3 आहे हा जोपर्यंत दाखवलाय उतारा वेगळा झाला नाही तिथपर्यंत डिफिनिशन झाली किती शेअर येते, परंतु डिव्हिजन नाही झाले. अँड वेन कलेक्टर विल मेक दिस डिव्हिजन then it will be survey number 10/1, 10/2, 10/3 and so on. And now a separate record of right extract will be there. That is another partition. There can be a partition by arbitration under the Arbitration Act, or maybe arbitration just what we call panchayats. The respectable people in the society are called and they effect partition. Accordingly, there can be partition. And in case of urban properties, if property is not divisible, then either if the heirs or the claimants agree, accordingly it will be done. Otherwise, the property may be sold. And whatever are the proceeds, sale proceeds, those sale proceeds will be distributed among the various claimants who are entitled to claim share in the property. Now, these various types of partition, when they take place, the partition is effected for all those properties. While when it comes to Hindu law, it is different thing. In Hindu law, partition means partition definition and partition division. Let's say in Hindu law, there are various types of properties. First, there is a property known as self-acquired property. From 1930, that is Gains of Science Act, Gains of Learning Act. Under that act, it was declared that if a Hindu, without taking any help of ancestral property, by his own exertion, earns any property, that is his self-acquired property by using his knowledge, education, technical expertise, etc. In that property, nobody has a right to claim partition. During his lifetime, there will be no partition. So what we found was that in case of a Muslim, in case of a Parsi, in case of other people than Muslims and Parsis, there is no partition during lifetime of that person. He has to die. And after his death, when property passes to heirs, the heirs can claim partition. Likewise, if the property of a Hindu is self-acquired property, there is no partition, no claim till the person dies. The person before death, he may dispose of the property in favor of any person or any, say, institution. In that case, there will be nothing to be partitioned. Second type of property among the Hindus is the separate property. It is not self-acquired, but it is received from some relations, some gifts, from outside the family. In such cases, such person is absolute owner, total owner of the property, and there is no succession, there is no partition during his lifetime. Only when such person dies and property is left under a will or intestate, then whoever are the heirs under the Hindu Succession Act, accordingly the property will pass. While now there is third type of property which a Hindu may possess. That is what we call ancestral property. And here the whole trouble lies. Ancestral property, first, to understand what is ancestral, we have to say where the ancestor is. Hindu system believes that there is a joint family system. And definition of joint family is that a male ascendant, all the descendants of male ascendant, plus women married into the family, minus daughters married out of the family, who are joined at board and joined in worship. That is to say, all those who are Hindus, if somebody converts to other religion, ceases to be member of the family, joint family. And secondly, they are together, joint at board, living together. Otherwise, board means directly you are for dinner and for meals you are together. Today it is not possible, yet that is allowed. Now, in this joint family, there is a matter of status that you are a member. By contract or by any court decree, etc., you cannot become a member. You must be born in a particular family or married into the particular family and so on. There can be any number of generations if they are living together and having worship together, they can be members of joint family. It is not limited to any degrees. And it is not necessary for a Hindu joint family to possess any joint property. There can be, as it is always said, that there can be a family, joint family of beggars also. And now we know that beggars' families are more joint than the family of wealthy people. Now, in this joint family, though males, females, any generations are there, trouble starts when in a joint family, there is joint property also. Now, the joint property is technically known as ancestral property. In Hindu law, if there is ancestral property, and ancestral property means property which is received by a holder, inherited by a holder from his father, father's father, or father's father's father, is ancestral in his hands. So suppose that father, father's father, and father's father's father, they have left the property and H is the holder today. Father is dead, father's father is dead, father's father's father is dead. H is the only person who is holding. These people are called co-partners. And these co-partners within 4 degrees, the title is vesting in them. They are the owners of the property. So females were not owners of the property. Even male members who were not within 4 degrees were not members of the co-partnership. Or just try to understand it this way, that if there is a holder, H, his father is dead, father's father is dead, father's father's father is dead, and that F4 is living till now. He is holding the property. Now, this your H is at the 5th degree now. And if he is at 5th degree, then in that case, he is not co-partner with that F4. If he dies, the property comes to H as separate property and not ancestral. So, property received by a holder from father, father's father, or father's father's father is ancestral in his hands. But suppose that he is the sole surviving co-partner. He can do anything he pleases with the property. But the moment he begets a son, in other cases, what we have seen just now, that so long the owner of the property is living, there is no succession, no partition, nothing. While in case of a Hindu co-partnership, ancestral property, the moment H begets a son, son gets right by birth. He did not wait till the death of the father. By birth, he gets right into that property. And how much right he gets? Equally with father. If suppose that today H has got S1, H and S1 together they are co-partnership. If tomorrow H begets another son S2, then S1, S2, S3 together they are having a co-partnership, each one having a share equal and total. That is to say, now we come to another concept. In the beginning, I told you that we were having a partition or division of property which is co-owned, or technically we called it co-ownership. In co-ownership, shares of the persons are decided. Only division means partition. While in case of a co-partner, the shares of the co-partner are total. That is to say, it is a commensality of interest. Each owns whole, all together whole, and that is called joint ownership. Let us not forget difference between co-ownership and joint ownership. Today, perhaps, only in Hindu law, the concept of joint ownership is there. Therefore, even if there is a father and 2 sons, nobody can say that my share is 1/3 or 1/2. It is total. Each owns whole, all together whole. And because of that, suppose that if tomorrow father dies, is there any property without the owner? None. And if there is no property without owner, there is no question of any succession. The property passes by survivorship to other co-partners. So in a co-partnery, interest is acquired by a co-partner by birth. And if any co-partner dies, there is no succession, his shares are passing to others by survivorship because each owns whole altogether whole. This is the position. The similar position would be there. Suppose that there is a holder who has got a property from father, father's father, or father's father's father, and now he begets a son. His son is a co-partner. Son's son is a co-partner. Son's son is a co-partner at a time 4 degrees. If earlier degree passes out, subsequent degree is promoted, and accordingly co-partnery goes on, but at a time 4 degrees. Now these co-partners, what their rights were till 1956, we will have to see first. Every co-partner was having equal ownership in the ancestral property. Co-partnery, that was called. Now in this co-partnery, there could be a right of partition, our main subject. That co-partner has a right to claim partition. Which co-partner? A son has a right to claim partition from father. The persons who can claim partition and persons who are entitled to a share on partition in Hindu law are different. Take for instance a case, there is a rule that each son is entitled to equal share with father. Therefore, if there is a holder and he has got S1 and S2, two sons, S2 claims partition, father, S1, S2, each having equal share, therefore 1/3 each, accordingly partition will be there. Each son can claim, father also can claim partition. But if there is holder's wife, that mother is also there, then father, mother, S1, S2, two sons, and S2 now claims partition. Here the rule says that when there is a partition between father and his sons, then holder's wife, that is mother, she is entitled to a share equally with her sons. Therefore, now there will be 4 shares. The W will also be getting 1 share, 1/4 share, but she cannot claim partition. Suppose that these 3 people, husband and 2 sons, they decide that till mother dies, that W dies, there shall be no partition, though law has declared that she has the right to claim share, but she has no right to enforce partition. That was one thing. Secondly, there are some people who cannot claim partition. That is to say, though a person may be entitled to a share on partition, take for instance a case, a rule is that a co-partner cannot claim partition so long his father is joint with his own father or collaterals. The co-partnery can be collateral co-partnery also. In case of, suppose that there was a father has left behind 2 sons, A and B. Now these 2 sons, they form brothers. They form a collateral co-partner. If A has got one of the brother, 1 son, we will call him AS, and B has got 2 sons, we will call those 2 sons BS1 and BS2. Now, one of the son of B, he wants to claim partition. He cannot claim partition so long his father is joined with his own father or collaterals brother, unless his father consents to that. If suppose that father were to say that he is a nuisance, give him partition, then he can have his own share. But how it will be worked out? Shares on partition are per stirpiece, per branch, not necessarily per head. So here we have seen that original holder was father. He died leaving behind 2 sons, A and B, and A and B are having sons. A has 1 son, B has 2 sons. Now, one of the son of B has demanded partition and his father has consented, take your partition. He cannot say let us have a count of heads and my share. No. First, per service, that is to say, per branch division will be there. So A's branch, 1 share, B's branch, 1 share, 1/2, 1/2. In B's branch, there is B, BS, and BS1 and BS2. Now, 1/3 will go to BS2 of the branch of B. That is 1/2 into 1/3, 1/6 share will go to him. This way the shares are worked out. Now, in this partition, let us see another important aspect, and which always creates problem with we lawyers in the courts. Let us have a very typical example for this. When partition and how partition in a co-partnership is effected. Take for instance a typical case, a case easy to understand the subject but difficult to forget. That is, suppose that there is a father and he has got 3 sons, S1, S2, S3. Ancestral property admittedly. Co-partnership exists. And S3 says, father, I want partition. Now in Hindu law, what is partition? In Hindu law, partition is when a person entitled to claim partition makes his intention clearly known to the concerned persons, particularly the Karta. Karta is always the senior most member in the family. He manages the whole thing. So when clear intention to separate is communicated, such unequivocal communication constitutes partition. So when S3 says, father, I want partition. Now this father, old style man, he says that in my family, in earlier generations, there was never partition. And you are claiming partition. Of that shock, he dies. Now, naturally, there will be a family consisting of S1, S2, S3. For our convenience, we have not taken into the family any female members with a purpose. Now, S1 will be the Karta senior most member. Say 10-15 days pass, he has to wait. And then S3 reminds to that eldest brother S1 that what about my partition? He says, all right, take your partition. What is share of S3? Don't hasten to say there are 3 brothers now and therefore S3 has 1/3. No. Before we come to a right answer, let me put the case otherwise. If there is a father S1, S2, S3 and S3 demands partition and father is not that weak-hearted person, he says, I will not give you partition, do whatever you want. And then he goes to a lawyer, files a suit for partition. What is the cause of action we will write? Cause of action for the present suit arose when the plaintiff claimed partition, but defendant number 1 denied it. So the cause of action is when partition is claimed, not when division is effected. At that time, father was living. So let's go to the first case now. That of that shock, father died. So first, S3 made claim for partition. At that moment, partition is effected. Though division is not there, definition is there. So in a Hindu joint family, in co-partnership, partition means 2 things. One is definition, that is how much is your share, and other is division, to divide the property. So the definition is there, when demand is made, at that time father is living. Next moment father died. So S3, his share at that time was father living 1 share, S1, S2, there are 2 shares, and S3 is 4th, his 1/4 share. S1 and S2 are not claiming partition. Next moment father dies. At that time there was a joint family, co-partnership of father and S1 and S2, because S3 had already been partitioned when he demanded partition. And in a co-partnership, there is no succession, there is survivorship only. So if S1, S2 was the co-partnership, in that co-partnership F died, his share passes to S1, S2, and on partition, division, only 1/4 share will go to S3. This way the shares are to be effected. While working out these shares, sometimes problem arises that particularly female heirs like holder's wife, though entitled to a share, was not entitled to claim partition. From 1937, Hindu Women's Right to Property Act, some limited ownership was given, say right to maintenance, life estate in husband's estate. However, they were not entitled to claim partition. They were entitled to enjoy only. Daughters were not entitled to claim partition. Daughters had only the right to claim maintenance and marriage expenses. All this, it was injustice to women, and particularly after the Constitution of India 1950 onwards, there was always a demand why there should not be equality with women. And therefore, in 1956, the Hindu law took very revolutionary step. In fact, that was in 1955 itself. That in 1955, the first step taken was the Hindu Marriage Act. In 1956, Hindu Succession Act, Minority Guardianship Act, Adoption Maintenance Act, all these three acts were passed. In all, 4 acts together was a revolution. In this, today we are discussing Hindu Succession Act 1956. This Hindu Succession Act 1956 and right to partition, we will have to discuss this way. So what we have decided, discussed is that in Hindu law, partition will have different meanings. First, partition prior to 1956, when females had no shares. Second, partition after 1956 up to 1994. Third, partition after 1994 up to 2005. And fourth, partition after 2005. So when we are saying 1956, when this act was passed, this act made a provision, particularly in section 6 and in section 14, 2 revolutions were brought. Section 6, prior to 1994, it stood and said, first part, that if there is a co-pastorate, a Hindu joint family and co-pastorate, then this act will not apply. And even if some co-pastor were to die, his share will pass by survivorship and not succession. While there was a proviso. And proviso to that old section 6 said, however, if the deceased had left behind a female heir of class 1 or a male heir claiming through such female heir of class 1, then the share of the deceased, property of the deceased, shall pass under this act and not by survivorship. Therefore, here was a restriction now that if there is a female heir of class 1, that is to say, a daughter, son's daughter, son's daughter, mother, holder's wife, or a male heir claiming through such female heir of class 1, that predeceased daughter's son, he was also there. These people were not done justice till now. And therefore, a provision was made, and in such a case, the share of the deceased will pass by succession and not by survivorship. However, what was the share of the deceased? Because in a co-pastory, all the co-pastors own the property together equally. Each one is having total share. And therefore, further explanation was given. And that was saying that for the purposes of ascertaining the property of the deceased, a notional partition shall be imagined. What we lawyers always said, notional partition. This notional partition, it said that as if there was a partition between the deceased, dead person, and other members of the co-pastory, the share will be worked out. So just before his death or at the time of his death, there is partition. And the person who is dying, his share is worked out, separate. So suppose that we take a case like this, that there is a father, mother, S1, S2, 2 sons, and a daughter. Now, if father dies, he has died in a co-pastory, ancestral property agreed. But here are 2 females of class 1. That is the section 8 of that act, it provided that for a male, the heirs will be divided into class 1 class 2, class 3, class 4, class 1, these 12 heirs, class 2, near relations, class 3, agnates, and class 4, cognates accordingly. So if there is a female heir of class 1, in that case, the share of the deceased will be worked out as if there was a partition just before his death. Here, the father, mother, S1, S2, 2 sons and daughter. Daughter is not entitled as a co-partner to any share on partition. And therefore, partition will be between father, mother, S1, S2, each taking one share equally. So, deceased father had 1/4 share in the co-partnership property. And this 1/4 is subject matter of succession under the Act of 1956. Here, the Act provided in Section 8 that son's daughter get equally. Therefore, now, son, daughter, widow, they are getting equally of father's estate, which is 1/4. So, 2 sons, 1 daughter, and mother, 1/4 of 1/4, daughter gets 1/16, while each son getting 1/4 on partition and 1/4, 1/16 on succession, that is 5/16. Therefore, though some justice was done, yet injustice was there. That in this injustice, that daughter was getting a very marginal share and 5/16 only. So if there was a daughter who wanted to have that share and brothers were denying, she could file a suit for partition. That partition was valid. However, the share that was allotted to her was very marginal share. And therefore, though justice was done, it was not sufficient. Because of this, always there was a demand that there should be some provision, further justice should be made to the daughters. And therefore then, Maharashtra and some southern states took a lead. And in 1994, Maharashtra legislature had carried out an amendment to Section 6. And by this amendment, Section 29A, 29B, and 29C were added. And a provision was made that on and from commencement of this 1994 Act, daughter of a co-partner shall become a co-partner. So till now, females were never co-partner. In 1994 in Maharashtra, daughter became a co-partner, equally with son. And this daughter became co-partner at the commencement of the Act. However, there were 2 limitations. One limitation was that if she was married before the commencement of 1994 amendment, she was not co-partner, as well as if there was a partition in that family before 1994, then in that case, that partition was valid and daughter could not challenge that partition. Here, there was now a flood of partitions, all backdated partitions. Partition has taken place before and her share was defeated. Now, once she became co-partner in Maharashtra from 1994, every co-partner has a right to claim partition. Therefore, daughter in Maharashtra also got a claim to claim partition in the ancestral property. Even if father is living, others are living, she could say that I am a co-partner, I want partition, she could make partition. Likewise, she could make a will also of her share. And by that will, to whomsoever the property was given, that person, legatee, he also had a right to claim partition against the family. However, since in this, a married daughter was excluded, as well as the partitions were excluded, the justice done was limited again. However, it was realized by Parliament also that Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, some states have taken a good step and some good beginning has been done. Better justice to women has been done. Why not to extend this to the whole India? And particularly here, the proposition was that the trouble with the Maharashtra amendment was, Maharashtra amendment, legislature had a right to have effect only on the territory of Maharashtra. So if a family was holding properties in various places in India, outside Maharashtra, how that succession would be regulated. Some problems would be there, some disputes would be there. Taking into account all this, in 2005, the Parliament took out a central amendment to Hindu Succession Act 1956. Now, one thing before we go to this amendment, we will have to keep in mind that, as I in the beginning said, that 1956 Act in 56 itself had made another revolution. It had introduced section 14, 15, and 16. Section 14 had said that a Hindu woman who was in possession of any property on the date of commencement of 1956 Act would become absolute owner of that property. Of course, Hindu woman, whatever she gets as a Hindu woman, suppose that she was a tenant in some house, she does not become absolute owner. But if she was a widow and having widow's estate as a Hindu woman, that will become her absolute property. Possession is equal to title was revolution. And she was absolute owner of that property, could do anything she pleases. She could sell, she could mortgage, she could give by will also. Her heirs would be different. Section 15 and 16 had defined who the heirs of a female would be. So during the lifetime of that female, whatever absolute property she gets, there is no co-partiality, and no person had the right to claim any partition in that unless there was a succession. That was another thing. Now, in 2005, for doing better justice, that only a marginal share given to a daughter, she is not given anything major, and therefore there is no proper justice. 2005 amendment of the center, which is applicable throughout India, it provides that on and from the commencement of this act, the daughter of a co-partner shall by birth become a co-partner equally with son. So from 9/9/2005, daughter of a co-partner has become a co-partner equally with son. She gets equal share with son. Now, when this revolutionary step is taken, keep in mind that holder's wife, though daughter is made a co-partner having equal rights with son, holder's wife or mother of this daughter, she has not been made co-partner. She is not co-partner. Now, in this case, if daughter while co-partner, she wants to claim partition, very well, she can demand partition. She can claim partition, and she can even by will give away her share. Or every co-partner has a right even to alienate share, and partition can be claimed by the transferee also. When this provision is made, another important provision made by the 2005 amendment is that the earlier procedure introduced by the 1994 Act, that first see whether there was a partition in the family. And we had seen that very many partitions which were not real partitions were brought into existence. Therefore, this act said, amendment said, that if there is an earlier partition, that will have to be excluded, but that must be a registered partition. If it is not registered partition, it will be ignored. Second thing, the restriction that was imposed by the 1994 amendment in Maharashtra, that was a daughter who was married was not becoming a co-partner. While 2005 amendment, it removed this restriction also, and even now married daughters can be co-partners. Now, if this is so, it will go without saying that in such cases, the married daughter becoming a co-partner, she has a right to demand partition, and she can claim partition. Likewise, she can dispose of her share by her will or even by, say, alienation, and that alienee, transferee or legatee has a right to demand partition, and partition can be enforced. While the proposition that we want to deal, important one, taking into account the time, that as earlier in 1994 we saw, to defeat the rights of a daughter, the backdated partition was brought into existence. Likewise today, what they are doing, they mean those brothers. What they are doing, suppose that a father is dead. Then entry in record of rights is made. की खबर अमुक अमुक है, अमुक अमुक तारखेला मयत, वारस पत्नी, मुलगा, मुलगी. And accordingly, class 1 years, their names are entered into the record of rights by effecting a mutation entry in 6D reflected in 712 extract. Accordingly, it is there. After a month or two, there is a Hakkasod Patra, what technically can be called a relinquishment deed. And nowadays, all the lawyers, we have got computers in our offices. Already drafts are fed, standard drafts, and then a draft reads की माझं की मुलगी लिहून देते बहीण, माझा ह्या प्रॉपर्टीमध्ये भावाबरोबर हिस्सा आहे, परंतु माझं लग्न माझ्या आईवडिलांनी खूप थाटामाटात करून दिलं, माझ्या घरी मी खूप सुखात आहे आणि माझं आणि माझ्या भावाचं जन्मापासून खूप प्रेम आहे. अशा भाऊ बहिणीचं प्रेम असतंच. आणि ह्या नैसर्गिक प्रेमापोटी माझ्या भावाच्या लाभात मी माझा हिस्सा सोडून देते, त्याला आपण हक्कसोड पत्र म्हणतो. हे रजिस्टर्ड असो अनरजिस्टर्ड असो, व्हॉट आय एम मेकिंग अ स्टेटमेंट इज all Hakkasod Patras are void. They are illegal. By Hakkasod Patra, the daughter is not losing her share and brother is not getting daughter's share, sister's share. Why? Let us discuss it now. Important thing, because in every family this is going on throughout Maharashtra or perhaps throughout India. The relinquishment deed is possible only in case of a superior title and inferior title.
मुझे कुछ बात करना है. मुझे क्या पता?
Suppose that if there is a lessor, he has granted a lease for 50 years to a lessee, and lessee after 10 years says that I cannot afford to pay this rent, therefore I relinquish my remaining 40 years. Even if lessee has relinquished, there is a superior title of lessor, and that inferior title given up, superior title, he will enjoy the property. So the relinquishment is possible only when there is a superior title and inferior title, mortgage or mortgagee. And mortgagee says, I hereby relinquish my right. All right, mortgagee's title will become absolute. Or if there is a co-parcel, and the co-parceler says, I relinquish my share. If co-parceler relinquishes his share, nothing matter, because each co-parceler owns whole. Even if one relinquishes, thereby there is no property without owner. There is no question of succession and superior title. It will be inferior will merge into superior. However, here what has happened, that amendment of 2005 says that old notional partition it has done away with, and the new section 6, what it says, in section 6 clause 3, a provision is made that this act shall apply to all successions, whether female heir or not. And in all these successions, accordingly, hereafter, if the act applies, the property will pass under this act only. The proposition comes to this, as it is well explained in case Uttam versus Saubhak Singh, where Justice Nariman has said that because of this section 6 clause 3, now co-parcenary terminates. Here is a daughter, her father is dead. Female heir of class 1, father is dead, succession under section 6(3). If there is a succession, her share is defined. And if her share is defined, there is no more co-parcenary. If there is no more co-parcenary, there is not a dual title, superior and inferior title. How there can be transfer by relinquishment or Hakkasod Patra? Now, likewise, you will also see that under revenue code, nobody calls you a owner. Revenue code मध्ये काय म्हटले तुम्हाला? Occupant or holder. And why it is so? Because you are teaching your children that this is the territory of India, map of India, and territory of India is vesting in the sovereign of India. Then why that particular survey number is yours? Because state has granted it to you. This grant by state is an inferior right given to you. If this is inferior right, superior right of the state is always there. And therefore, if you see sections 55 to 60 of Maharashtra Land Revenue Code, that is MLRC, there is a provision that if an occupant dies, leaving behind no known heirs, then in that case, the property will revert back to the state, will be vesting in the state. This is called doctrine of escheat. Superior title of state is always there. Here, when there was no co-pastory, joint family had terminated. Under section 6, clause 3, daughter got share on father's death. Whatever share as a co-pastor and heir she got, that share is now no more a co-pastory property. It is absolute share. This absolute share cannot be relinquished because relinquishment does not create any title. Relinquishment only extinguishes title, does away with the title, and brother will not get property unless there is title created in his favor, some transfer is made. So sale deed is made, gift deed is made, mortgage deed, lead deed, anything. Why this is not done? Because gift deed also requires the stamp duty. And this is also not to be paid by that brother. And therefore, a provision made or a way out found out is a Hakkasod Patra. These Hakkasod Patras, relinquishment deeds, they are possible only so long co-pastory exists. The moment father dies and succession is there is no co-pastory because section 6, clause 3 has applied. The heirs under section 8 are there. And in such a case, the question of the relinquishment will not arise. The last thing to be seen is that how to read these rights of the co-partners and the shares of the co-partners. The proposition, it had come before the Supreme Court in various cases. And in these various cases, the problem was that the wording that is used in section 3 is that on devolution in the co-partner, on and from the commencement of this amending act, daughter shall become a co-partner. Therefore, one interpretation was that daughter becomes a co-partner only in those cases where father dies after 1956, after the amendment of 2005. However, if father is living, daughter will not become a co-partner because it is only on devolution. However, this was done away with. Second question was that those daughters who are married before the commencement of this amendment, whether they will become co-partner. And before them, in Prakash versus Phulavati, a case decided in 2015, Supreme Court decided that if father was living at the commencement, that is 9/9/2005, daughter was living on 9/9/2005, daughter becomes co-partner. But if father was dead before that date, then succession will take place on that date only, according to the law which was applicable then. And in that case, daughter will not become a co-partner. In subsequent case, Uttam versus Saubhag Singh, in 2016, as earlier I made a reference that Justice Nariman laid down a rule that when section 6, clause 3 applies and succession under section 8 has taken place, co-partner has terminated, she becomes absolute owner. Section 14 decides that when there is a woman holding property, the property will pass to her heirs under section 15 and 16 and not the male rules. Therefore, such members or such sharers can claim partition in those cases. While thereafter, there were two more cases. Dhandama versus Amar. That was Justice Sikri in 2018 deciding the case. It followed Phalavati's case, that father living, daughter living, she becomes a co-partner. While in 2018 again, there was this Mangal versus STB Raju, and wherein Phalavati was followed. But in these two cases, interpretations about the applicability of the Act amendment, those were conflicting. And therefore, in Vishwajit versus Subhashish in 2018, when this conflict was brought to the notice of the Supreme Court, the three judges bench it said that since two conflicting judgments are there, now the matter is referred to a larger bench, and larger bench is yet to sit. Therefore, today we can say safely that co-partners on the appointed day 9/9/2005, provided that daughter is living on that date and father is also living on that date. If these two conditions are satisfied, daughter becomes a co-partner. If father was dead earlier, on that date succession had taken place, the proposition that both living there is a co-partnership, it was challenged on one point, that if a daughter was born before 1956 or daughter was married even before 1956, whether she becomes a co-partner. Answer is yes. If she is living on 9/9/2005 and her father is also living on 9/9/2005, even if she was born before 1956 or even if she was married before 1956, she becomes a co-partner. Now, with this, I think you people may have some questions to ask. I conclude my discussion and allow you people to ask any question what you want to ask. Please proceed. काही प्रश्न असतील विचार.
काही प्रश्न असतील त्यांनी
हॅलो.
माईक हा बोला बोला
सर समजा स्टेटचा कायदा महाराष्ट्र स्टेटचा कायदा 1994 ला पास झाला आणि सेंट्रलचा 2005 ला, तर महाराष्ट्रासाठी 1994 पासून जो कॉर्पोरेशनचा कायदा आहे तो लागू करायचा का 2005 पासून त्याचं हे करायचं?
नाही, आता प्रश्न असा येईल की 2014 पासून 2005 पर्यंत महाराष्ट्राची अमेंडमेंट लागणार आणि 2005 नंतर सेंट्रल अमेंडमेंट लागणार. म्हणजे आता महाराष्ट्राच्या अमेंडमेंटनं जर ती कोपार्शनल झालेली असेल तर सेंट्रल अमेंडमेंटनं कंटिन्यू होईल. महाराष्ट्राच्या अमेंडमेंटनं कोपार्शनल झालेली नसेल बिकॉज आयदर देर वॉज मॅरेज बिफोर द commenced the 1994 amendment. Now under 2005 amendment, though she is married, she has become co-partner from 9/9/2005. म्हणजे दोन डेट फक्त चेंज होते.
ओके, थँक्यू
सर.
हा बोला. अजून कोणाचा प्रश्न?
हॅलो सर, लिमिटेशन ऍक्टच्या कुठल्या प्रोव्हिजन्स लिमिटेशन ऍक्टच्या कुठल्या प्रोव्हिजन लागू होतील याला?
नाही, दोन प्रश्न वेगळे येतील की सो लॉंग फॅमिली the demand for partition is never defeated, because even for 2-3 generations they can continue together. Only when your demand is denied, rejected, then only question of limitation will arise, that cause of action is there, and when cause of action arose. Say if daughter is made co-partner, in that case also, so long her share is not denied. Suppose that father is dead and her share is entered in record of right also, she does not demand partition. The things are going on, she is a co-owner, there is no question of limitation. But if she demands partition and partition is denied by other co-partners or members of the family, then in that case, from that date, denial date, partition will be completed. Anything else?
Hello.
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 Please.
Sir, is the daughter-in-law has a right in the property of his father-in-law?
No.
Daughter-in-law has the right of.
On the contrary, because I think that the time given to me was over. If you have got time, I can give you some more disputes. You have taken very nice thing. That earlier what I said, daughter is made a co-pastor, but a wife is not made co-pastor. Therefore, suppose that a question will arise that a daughter becomes co-pastor in father's family. Tomorrow she is married. The moment she is married, she ceases to be a member of father's family. There is no joint family membership. She has become member of husband's family now. And in husband's family, she is a wife, though there is an ancestral property in his hands. And wife is not made co-pastor. She doesn't become a co-pastor. The trouble will remain. That is not answered by any court till now. And that is for you and me hereafter to argue. That if suppose that a daughter is married after 2005 or before 2005 and she has become co-pastor in father's family, after marriage, does she continue to be member of joint family of father? She has become a member of husband's family now. And if she is not a member of the joint family, she cannot be in co-pastoring. Therefore, then we will have to imagine a notional partition again, as if her share is separated. Otherwise, what will happen? Even if there is a Hindu partition, share given in partition is also ancestral. And therefore, daughter, she is married, she begets her own son or daughter. That son or daughter, they are her co-partners. She is co-partner in father's family. So that son or daughter, if he was to claim with maternal uncle, mama, I am your co-partner, or if in a given case that maternal uncle or mama was to say to Bhacha that I am co-partner, your mother is my co-pastor, you are your mother's co-pastor, you are your father's co-pastor, there I am your father's co-pastor, what will happen? All this trouble, all these questions, those are not solved. Those are for us hereafter to debate. Any other question?
Good afternoon, sir. So there is a question for you. Sir, in a case of a release deed, when the release deed is made between the heirs after the death of their father, is it a valid?
Release deed, that is relinquishment deed only. Whenever a relinquishment deed, release deed, Hakkasod Patra is made, as earlier I stated that these are illegal made, because release deed etc. can be made only when there is a dual ownership, a superior title, inferior title. When father is dead, under section 6(3), the co-partner has terminated and her share is defined now. If share is defined, even if not divided, partition is there. And therefore, since there is no co-partner, there cannot be any relinquishment deed.
Sir, can I ask one question, please? Sir, only one question. Sir, in some cases, there is entire, the release deed is made against some consideration and on payment of stamp duty, proper stamp duty.
Release date made, even if release date is registered, release deed will not give any right. As I said,
my question, sir, I have come across some cases wherein the Supreme Court has inferred that a release deed made against consideration and a valid consideration, valid security is paid against the same. So either the Supreme Court has considered such release deeds as a sell deeds, and in some other cases wherein the stamp duty is paid as per gift. So but only the title being the deed of release, also release date. So in such cases, the Supreme Court has considered them as gift deeds.
So this is right. I understood your question. In fact, this question does not relate to Hindu joint family or Hindu succession. It is general. Generally, how to interpret deeds, documents. In that rule, heading of the document does not matter. the contents of the document, what you call habendum and reddendum. These two together define what the deed is. So if in fact it is a deed of transfer, proper stamp duty is paid. Even if release name is given, nothing matters. And release deed in those cases where inferior title holder is releasing his right in favor of superior title, that is also valid. Anything else?
Yes, next question, please. Next question, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, in a case where the property is an ancestral property and
Yes.
and there are 3 heirs to it, and one heir wants to sell his property and the rest want to sell their property. In such scenario, and the property has been sold by the one heir, then what is the remedy rest with the 2 heirs?
Do you mean to say की तीन वारस आहेत आणि तिघापैकी एकानं
हो
त्याचा
सर,
शेअर विकला?
ऍक्च्युली
ही case
3
आहे का?
वारस आहेत. येस सर, 3 वारस आहेत. त्यातले 2 वारसांना प्रॉपर्टी सेल करायची नाही आहे आणि एका वारसाला प्रॉपर्टी सेल करायची आणि त्यांनी सेल सुद्धा केली आहे.
हो, ठीक.
My question is that without the consent of the rest partners, can he sell? And if he can sell, then what is the remedy left with the rest of the partners?
The question is, each heir ज्या क्षणाला वडील गेले त्या क्षणाला सक्सेशन झालं. सक्सेशन झाल्यानंतर त्यांचे शेअर डिफाईन झाले. हिंदू लॉ मध्ये पार्टिशनचे 2 मिनिंग आहेत, एक डिफिनिशन आणि दुसरी डिव्हिजन. आता फक्त डिव्हिजन शिल्लक आहे, म्हणजे याचा शेअर जर डिफाईन झाला, हा शेअर हा विकू शकतो आणि याला शेअर जर विकला, मग याला प्रिएम्पशनचा राईट आहे की नाही, अमुक होईल की नाही, हा पुढचे प्रश्न झाले. परंतु तो सेल जे आहे, दॅट सेल डीड इज व्हॅलिड, इट कॅन बी मेड.
But if sir there is no division,
that division can be claimed because first thing we said, first there is definition. Once there is a definition, if that is not agreed to, then you will file a suit for division, and accordingly, as per your share, that share will be divided and partitioned.
okay, thank you sir.
Yes, next question, please.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Sir, in that partition case, just now you have given some. In that case, if any one legal heirs want to sell his right, then how he can proceed?
The legal heirs, when each one has got a definite share, and that definite share can be sold out by that person.
But
yes,
and only one is wants his share and he want to sell his share, then he can sell it.
हो, तिथून पुढे कारण त्यांचा प्रत्येकाचा शेअर डिफाईन झाला. आता जसं समजा तुम्ही असं गृहीत धरा की एक वारसांचे 7/12 मध्ये 5 आणि 4 पै म्हणजे 1/3 लागला. तो 1/3 त्याला विकता येतो. त्याला बाकीच्या दोघांची संमती लागत नाही. एवढंच की त्याचा वेगळा तुकडा पडण्यासाठी त्याला पार्टिशन करायला लागेल.
No sir, not in the. Yes, I want to ask about in this residential flat. In case of residence property, residential property.
Under the Partition Act, the provision is made that when there is a residential house, the share passes to the heirs. But in case of residential house, the purchaser or the heir gets right of residence, but purchaser upon heir does not get right to reside. He does get right to claim partition. And if house cannot be divided, court may say this is the value of the house, pay this much share of that person to him, or otherwise house can be sold out in the market and sale proceeds can be distributed. Anything else?
So we cannot create third party right limit to that extension to that share. We cannot create third party right.
What? I didn't understand it. Please repeat.
I want to say that if 3 legal heirs are there and I want to share my share. I want to sell to third party. Can I do agreement with that third party in residential property?
Certainly, you can do that.
We can do that, no?
Yes, next question.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
next
sir.
question,
Thank you.
please.
सर विना मोबदला हक्क सोडपत्राची जागा वाटणी पत्रामध्ये घेऊ शकेल का? समजा एखाद्या बहिणीचा हक्क सोडायचा आहे आणि वाटणी पत्रात त्यांनी त्याचा तो हिस्साच घेतला नाही, तर चालेल का?
हक्क पत्राची जागा काय?
विना मोबदला हक्क सोड पत्रामध्ये बहीण त्याचा हिस्सा सोडते, त्याप्रमाणे समजा एखादं त्याच्या जागी अगर आपण वाटणी पत्र केलं आणि त्याच्यात त्या बहिणीने हिस्सा घेतला नाही आणि असं वाटणी पत्र झालं, तर ते विना मोबदला हक्क सोड पत्राला उपयोगी त्याच्या बदल्यात ते उपयोगी ठरेल का?
नाही, आता एक दोन प्रश्न तुम्ही एकत्र केले. एक, आपण जेव्हा हक्क सोड पत्राचा विषय घेतला तेव्हा तिचे वडील आहेत आणि सेक्शन 6(3)
सर व्हिडिओ डिस्कनेक्ट दिसतोय.
काय नाही झाले, सरांकडनं झाले की आपल्याकडनं आहे?
हा, सरांचा व्हिडिओ डिस्कनेक्ट दिसतोय.
बरं. सरांकडनं डिस्कनेक्ट वाटतोय का?
बाकीचे आहेत सगळे.
हॅलो.
आवाज तुमचा व्हिडिओ डिस्कनेक्ट झालेला दिसतोय.
सर तुमचा व्हिडिओ डिस्कनेक्ट झालेला आहे.
सरांचा आवाज नाही येते का?
हा, सरांचा माझ्यामध्ये ऑडिओ व्हिडिओ दोन्ही डिस्कनेक्ट झाले.
सर परत लॉग इन करतायत वाटतं. सर परत लॉग इन करतायत.
सर बहुतेक डिस्कनेक्ट झाले.
कॉल करून बघतोय त्यांना, सरांना परत कॉल करून बघतोय सरांना.
मी करतो संदीप, मी करून घेतो.
हो, करा सर.
चल
आणखी कोणाचे प्रश्न आहेत का?
हा सर प्लीज वेलकम सर. हा, अजून एखाद दोन प्रश्न कोणाचे असतील तर प्लीज विचारावे. कदम सर, जोशी सरांनी तू.
हा, सरांचा म्हणजे आज संपला म्हणून कोणाची क्वेरी नाहीये.
अजून कोण विचारत नाहीये वाटतं.
नाहीये सर झालेले आहेत प्रश्न. सर ठाणे वकील संघटनेकडनं आपले आभार. आता वोट ऑफ थँक्स साठी आम्ही ऑफिशियली आमचे मेंबर आहेत विकास जोशी ऍडव्होकेट त्यांच्याकडे करतो. थँक्यू सर. थँक्स अ लॉट सर. विकास.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected our President, Advocate Prashad Kadam sir, our most valued invited speaker, Advocate Bhaskar Rao Awad sir, Senior Advocate and former Chairman of BCMG, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of TDCB and entire committee and the fraternity of advocates here together, and on my own behalf, extend the very hearty vote of thanks to our speaker for gracing your important work and sharing with us your findings and opinions today. Thanks the speaker who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace the occasion. I would like to thank all the respected members and others who have blessed us with their presence. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
युट्यूब वरती
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
व्हिडिओ युट्यूब